I am Dr. Carey Krieger, founder of Save the Frogs and Zero2 Webmaster, and I am going to be teaching you about web development. My goal is for today for environmental professionals, but most web development is broadly applicable. So if you have something else going on, such as a podcast about drinking and thinking, like Lee appears to have here, then you could benefit from that too, I'm assuming. Or maybe you have a frog-focused nonprofit like Margot or Jennifer, who I believe works in the documentary film industry. So say hi to Allison for me. Allison created Frogs the Thin Green Line, which is one of the best frog documentaries that there is. Okay, so I prepared a slideshow today, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the slideshow, and then I can take any questions that you have, and during the slideshow I'll probably ask you a couple questions, and you can kind of jot down some answers there, and we can discuss those. And yeah, I mean, we can hear, I'd like to hear what your website goals are, or where you're at currently, if you have a website started or not. And then theoretically, we are going to have Neural on. Let's see what's going on. All right. So Neural's in Bangladesh. He says there's some kind of power rationing going on, and he may not be able to attend. So in that case, we'll see what happens. So let me go ahead, welcome Allison. I just told everyone how excellent your Frogs a Thin Green Line documentary is, so hopefully anyone who hasn't seen that will go check that out. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And everyone, if you want, go ahead and chat in where in the world you are. Always interesting to know. I am in Rio de Janeiro state, not in the city, fortunately. All right, Rochester, Templeton, California. All right, website development training for environmental professionals. Though, as I said, most of this broadly applicable to anybody. Certainly, if you have an organization and you're using a website to promote your organization. All right, now I just created this slideshow like an hour ago when I thought, instead of showing you a bullet pointed list of, just on a document, I was like, I may as well use a slideshow, and I like to recycle things, so I'm just showing these same old frog photos that I always show, but hopefully that'll make it a bit more interesting than just bullet points. So broad goals during the training, I want to help you develop a website strategy so that you don't end up, I'll take that, I guess I'll give you a little bit of my background and how I arrived here, because I never had too much of a website strategy, or not enough of one, other than, I guess, the most important strategy of all in this day and age is that you better have a website if you want to get the word out about what you do. And that's what I wanted for Save the Frogs, which was the first site that I built in 2008. And I actually built Save the Frogs on Dreamweaver because my university in Australia gave a free course on web design, and the woman was teaching Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is really great at doing the one thing that it does, which is enable you to post pages, but it won't do that much more. So I'll say it's not very powerful. And eventually switched to a different platform based on a Save the Frogs volunteer telling me that it was far more powerful than WordPress, and the name of that platform is Joomla, and Joomla is not too well known, and I used that for a while, and it got me prepared for WordPress because they're very similar, but it was definitely limited. And then I moved to WordPress about a year and a half ago, and it just blows away anything that I have ever used before, and I have no reason to think that I will be changing away from WordPress anytime soon. So let's get you with a good strategy so that you don't make big mistakes like I've made in the past, because when you make big website mistakes, on top of it preventing you from accomplishing your financial and other goals, then it'll also suck up a lot of your time, especially if you ever have to migrate. It can take hours, days, weeks, months of your life. All right, so I want to answer your questions about modern day website development. Why do I put modern day? Because website development has changed significantly even in recent years, even in the last few years. I know that from watching when I started learning WordPress, I did take one actual short course, I guess you could say, but then I learned a lot, just like a lot of people do in this day and age, reading articles online, visiting popular blogs, watching YouTube videos, and there's a lot, you get a lot of information, but it's going to be a big mishmash of all kinds of stuff, and you'll have to attempt to weed through it all. So things have changed a lot in the last few years for the better. So I want to make sure that everybody does stuff in the best, most up-to-date way. All right, so my goal was also to open up the One Health Bangladesh website and do some fixes to it as we did last week. So that's an actual website of Nurul Islam's organization. He's a Save the Frogs volunteer, and to me it's important that he learns good high-tech web development, not only for the success of his organization, but also as he is a Save the Frogs volunteer. I like to have talented web developers as volunteers. So if we have time, we can open up either one of my sites or one of your sites potentially. I know that Margot has a WordPress site. I know that because I visited it yesterday, and I have a little tool in my Chrome extensions called Built With, and you click the button on any website and it tells you what technology is going on that web page. All right, so my goal is to help environmental conservationists create websites that are powerful. So what does that mean? Powerful means it can get done the things that we need it to do. As I said, for many years I used Dreamweaver, and it's great at what it does, which is posting pages. That's all it'll do, pretty much. Just it'll post a page. Can you get lots of users logging in? You know, can you dynamically have content showing up based on importing info in from different databases? No, it's just going to put up a page, and that page is going to sit there and do what it, you know, it's just going to be a page. So we want powerful. So I'll talk about some of the ways that WordPress is powerful in a little bit. It has to be user friendly, so we don't want to have to code. If you know some code, great. So a guy yesterday online, he was like, hey, I'm learning HTML, CSS because I want to be able to build websites. And I was like, you really don't need that. All you need is WordPress and Elementor, and you'll be able to make beautiful pages. And he was like, I don't want to use WordPress. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know why not, because it'll do everything. And even if you can HTML, CSS, there's only so much you can do by putting that code on. So WordPress is relatively user-friendly. Every technology takes some learning, and the more you want to do, the trickier it gets, but it's pretty intuitive on the back end, most things that you do. So we want to make beautiful sites that are aesthetically pleasing, and WordPress, certainly with Elementor Page Builder, which is the page builder that I've been using and recommend, you can color things however you want. You can get awesome looking gradients, and you can get all your brand colors going on and change the shapes of things. You can have drop shadows and all types of stuff. So there's one thing is how does it function, the other thing is how does it look. So if you're really into art and aesthetics, you can make your page look really nice without too much difficulty. All right, we want a low-cost website. Now, it's easy to build an expensive website, and I've certainly paid a lot of money for different website software, plugins, and different things. And there's all kinds of companies that are ready to sell you recurring fee products. And some of those, it is important to buy some stuff for your site, okay? But we don't want to get trapped into these products that cost a lot, that we can never leave because all our data is there, and then we've got this recurring fee. We're paying $1,000 for something that if we had been a little bit smarter, we could have paid a couple $100 a year for, or maybe nothing at all. So let's keep our websites low cost whenever possible. And ideally fun to manage. So I actually generally have a good time when I'm doing web development. When I'm in my website, it's usually a bit more relaxing than when I'm responding to emails and dealing with, this and that. So we can actually make the web development fun. And we want it open source, so that's part of low cost, but that's not all there is to it. It's open source. WordPress is open source. Now, to be very specific, not WordPress.com. Do not go there ever for any reason. You can if you want, but you shouldn't have any reason to ever go to WordPress.com. Even WordPress.org, which is the WordPress that we're talking about essentially, but you don't even need to go to WordPress.org, okay? We can get the software automatically installed on our servers, and we don't have to go to either of those websites. Though WordPress.org does have documentation if you really want it. But we are going to use the WordPress free software, open source software, and what that's going to mean is that as opposed to Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, WordPress.com, Thinkific, Kajabi, Kartra, and all these other Shopify, all these websites that are selling you a service of you do not know how to build a website, and therefore we've got the easy solution. They're saying don't waste your time learning it. Just come to us, give us your $28 a month or $99 a month or $1,000 a year, and let us handle everything. And that's cool at first, but it's not cool when you realize that you are in their box and you can't get outside of that box because they control the box. And you can do those things that they're enabling you to do. And if you want to do more than that, then it's very difficult or impossible. They may prevent you from doing something. So as an example, and then to finish, when you want to move, it's not easy to export your stuff. So here's a real world example. Save the Frogs was using, and my music business too. I had 2 accounts with Thinkific. Now their stuff is very good, but it's not cheap, about $1,000 a year for a learning management system. And I put a lot of time into adding all my stuff there. Actually, I really have 2 different examples. And then I really needed a way for Save the Frogs people to be able to log into the Save the Frogs website. And I didn't want to have 2 different passwords for people. One for the Save the Frog site and one for Thinkific, because that would be really confusing to people. And we got to keep things really simple. And they wouldn't let me do it, even though they had the technology, but they only allow the people paying $400 a month to access that technology. So I kind of got sick of it, and my WordPress consultant said, Carrie, LearnDash will do everything you need done, and it'll cost a fraction of that. So, and I was like, oh man, that'll be painful to migrate. And it was. It took a long time to move everything over. It's a long process, but now that it's done, I'm very happy. And if you've been into Save the Frogs Academy, savethefrogs.com/academy, you can get 28 days free right there by clicking the link. Then you can see what it is, and it looks awesome, and it's very inexpensive. So huge monetary savings, far more powerful than Thinkific, just because I can do everything. And now everybody's inside of my site, my branded site, where they can click all the links to my other stuff instead of being over at Thinkific's site. Another example, we use Shopify. excellent software. That's how we sold stuff, the Save the Frogs Gift Center, for several years. And then we didn't want to sell stuff anymore, at least take some time off, because we didn't have a warehouse or an office anymore. And I had spent a lot of time into building all those product pages to sell merchandise, and Shopify wouldn't let me pause anything. They're like, yeah, if you want it, you got to keep paying. And I didn't want to keep paying. So boom, there goes all those pages that I had built. So, hopefully I had taken all the descriptions and stored those elsewhere, and all the photos were easy to find for rebuilding the site eventually. But so when you make these mistakes by paying these companies for things that you could be doing on open source, then you may pay an even bigger price later on. All right, we want our site to easily integrate with key technologies. So WordPress is the most popular web development system on the planet. About 1/3 of all websites in the world are on WordPress. So there's tons and tons and tons of options for most things that we need to get done on WordPress. If you need it done, in all likelihood, someone before you with a lot more technical knowledge also needed it done, and they built a solution, and that solution may be free. So we don't have, generally speaking, we can make the things integrate, the different software talk to each other and all work together, versus if you just have this weird conglomeration of different unrelated softwares and you're trying to get them to work together. And when things don't work together, it means you cannot automate things, and you spend a lot of your time doing tasks that you probably will get bored of very quickly. So WordPress can help us with our automations. We want to automate. Why do we want to automate? Because we only have so much time and we only have so much money. So reduce the number of staff, reduce the number of virtual people, independent contractors, reduce the amount of mistakes. If something is automated and it's working, then things are going to work. If you have to do it, you're either going to forget about it or you're going to make an error somewhere. So WordPress can help us automate different tasks. All right, so now a question for you. What do you want your website to do for you or your organization? What are your main goals? What do you hope your website can, how do you think your website can help your business or your life? What pain can it reduce? How can it improve your relationship with your customers, constituents, donors, clients, supporters? All right, so these are some things that I came up with. Your website can convey a sense of professionalism and authority. So there's automatic distrust of any vendor or business that we've never done business with. So one of the ways to overcome that is just straight up having a nice looking website that looks like it was professionally done. Because the first thing someone's going to think is, oh, this is a real business. If you have yourname.tumblr.com or, yourname.wordpress.com or one of those kind of like you.somebodyelsesite.com, that's the number one way to, that's the first clue that your business is not very well established. Another clue that your business is not very well established is an email address that's an @Gmail or @Hotmail or @Yahoo.com address. So lots of little ways we can just psychologically prepare the customer to do business with us. We want to be able to educate our donors, customers, clients, and supporters. Now, most of that just comes through, or I'll say, traditionally for me, for 10 years, it was just putting up pages. If I want to educate them about frog legs and why you shouldn't eat frog legs or the problems with having a pet frog, then I create a page and call it frog legs and put up everything I know about frog legs. Or in this day and age, maybe multiple articles that all have the tag frog legs that can kind of get, essentially categorized, so that if I want to direct someone and say, hey, you just sent me a question about frog legs. Okay, here's the link. Go learn everything there. because I can only repeat stuff so many times. Why not, if I know it's important, put it up on the site? And then from an even more modern perspective, I was talking about Thinkific, that's a learning management system. Now I use LearnDash. So it's made for teaching in that it can put up lessons, organize them into courses, keep track of students' progress through them, and even enable us to sell the lessons or the courses or just provide access to certain groups of people, such as our volunteers. If you have volunteers or people writing you saying, I want to volunteer, you've probably noticed that it takes a lot of time to train a volunteer, especially if they're with unknown skills and you've never dealt with them and they're just an enthusiastic person. I want to help. So, okay, go take this course. Or maybe even like Save the Frogs has a course, Technology for Staff and Volunteers. It's not available to members. You'll never see it if you're a member, but it's there for someone. If I need them to know certain things, I can block access to everybody else, but allow them access, and then I don't have to train them with my own time. Okay, so that's that point right there. Train your volunteers. You can, or board members, or specific people. Maybe you have a project that's, or a campaign all about, a certain pesticide, and you want to make sure they know everything they need to know to get their stuff done. Then you can create a course all about that thing. Okay, especially for the nonprofit world, we oftentimes get paid after the fact. First we do the thing for no one in particular, and then we get paid through donations and people who like what we did, and they like what we did because we were able to communicate our success. So for me, just like when I was in academia, your project's not done until it's published in a scientific journal traditionally. For someone in the nonprofit world, I don't think your project is done until it's published as a web page on your site. Maybe in your magazine or whatever other way. Maybe you have a podcast, but one way or another, you need to communicate your successes if you want to keep donors happy and to inspire new people to donate money. Announce and promote your events and programs. Margot has events coming up, thank you, and she uses the events calendar plugin. I know that because I used Built With on her site yesterday to see what was going on there, and I am preparing to make use of that plugin. I have not used it yet, but my website consultant says, yes, Carrie, that's the one you should use. And Margot, I'll give you a tip. I don't know if you pay for that plugin, if you have a free version or what, but as I mentioned in the first lesson, last week's training session, there's a site called gplvault.com, and they provide free software. You have to become a member of their site, but it doesn't cost that much. Why is it free? Because the GPL is the license through which WordPress developers work, and WordPress software and those plugins are open source. Those plugin developers generally get paid based on the support they give. When you sign up for a pro plan, you're essentially paying for the support and the automated updates. So if you think that you don't need support, now I find that for most plugins, I like having support. Support is essentially your personal consultant or training when you have a question. But after a while, you need less and less of it for certain. But sometimes you can, if it's intuitive software, and especially if you're not critically dependent on it, sometimes you're fine if you do not need support, or maybe you can, you're willing to go and take your chances. You can get that software for free for certain, because I know it's on the gplvault.com site. Okay, so we want to be able to announce and promote our events and programs, and you don't even need a plugin. For many years, Save the Frogs, or I'll say pretty much forever, Save the Frogs just puts up a page saying, here's the event. It's not organized into any kind of event calendar. It's just pages with info. All right. We need to be able to accept donations one time and recurring, ideally. If someone's on recurring, they will give more money. That's the law of fundraising, the rule, the way it works. So now, to give you more examples of expensive ways to do stuff that aren't good, for many years, Save the Frogs used, I'll say almost forever, Save the Frogs used outside companies to handle our donations because well, in Dreamweaver, you definitely can't get any kind of donation system going other than having like a PayPal button or a button out to the outside vendor, which is not ideal. We want our own page on our site. We don't want the supporter leaving our website to give a donation. And it was very hard for me to find a way to just build that into my site. So I now have it, and I'm very happy with it. And it doesn't cost anything because it's built with WordPress open source. Whereas one of the most famous companies, Network for Good, I'm sure they've processed hundreds of millions of dollars in donations. They'll charge your organization about $99 a month to have a single donation page. Meaning, if you have multiple projects and you want donations specifically dedicated to that project, like Save the Frogs Ghana, Save the Frogs Day, different programs like donate to this one thing, you'd have to pay even more. So that's $99 a month to be sending someone outside your website to their site where they're going to collect your money and not send it to you until the 15th day of the next month. So how about we use WordPress, build it into our own site, make it free, build as many donation pages as we want, and get the money 2 days later. All right, we want to be able to sell products. Margot has art and other items for sale, and most businesses, if they're fine to ship stuff, will have shirts or stickers or things like that. So we want to make sure that we can build a store. All right, so donation plugin question. Yeah, so let's see, I mean, I've been through all these outside vendors who will charge, believe me, they charge nonprofits a lot of money. They'll write you and say, hey, we can help you fundraise, and it's only $99 a month or $297 a month or who knows what. We'll set up all your, peer-to-peer and all that. So I've been through tons of those. And then when I started and I tried to hire developers on these freelance sites to can you please get Stripe working? Stripe processes credit cards. Can you get Stripe to work on my site? And they all failed. All those people who had tons of credentials couldn't make it happen. And then when I went to WordPress, I was very happy. I was using, but I'm not recommending it. I'm answering your question, but I'm not recommending it. GiveWP plugin. And it was better than anything I'd ever used before, and I was very happy. It cost about $400 a year, and which is better than $99 a month, and it would do more than a lot of those other things would do. But it was one, it broke in the middle of December, and it took them 10 days to figure it out, and that's high giving season. And it is an additional plugin that's unnecessary. And it has lots of other plugins like add-ons. I had 8 different GiveWP related plugins on my site. And my website consultant, I'm not sure if it was GiveWP, but he's pretty certain. He knows more than me, so I trust him. He thinks it was the reason that our site was crashing and bad stuff was happening. So one rule of websites is never use any more plugins than you need to use. Make sure they're lightweight plugins. So basically, WooCommerce is the most important plugin that there is for WordPress. WooCommerce is essentially as core to the system as WordPress itself. WooCommerce handles any kind of transactions, and it can even handle $0 transactions, which are lead magnets. Here's this thing for free. Put in your name and email. The person doesn't have to know that they were really on some checkout page for $0. But so basically there's WooCommerce running the show, and then launch flows is what's helping to, I'll say, get your transactions exactly how you want them. Like, do you want them to pay $0 and not receive any receipt? Do you want them to pay a set amount of money? Do you want them to be able to add on a donation? Do you want them to be able to do it, name your own price? Do you want them sent to a dedicated thank you page? Do you want the product to only allow one item in the cart at once, like a membership? Perhaps a membership, or you can only buy one. So launch flows controls all those kind of things. And launch flows was developed and is being developed. It's only a few months old. It's being developed by my website consultant who knows a lot about the ways that people need to buy or to sell their products, because there's tons of different ways that you can sell. And you could go over to ClickFunnels and pay them $297 a month for a less powerful solution than launch flows will do for you, which you can do for free, or you could pay maybe $197 and get all the support you want per year for a year. Okay, so ClickFunnels, they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars doing something that you can be doing for either free or for $197 total dollars for the year. And let's see, if you do want to get launch flows, let me know and I'll send you a code. And it's not that immediately quick. Like, it'll take, you'll have to put some time into kind of figuring it out, that's for certain. But it'll be far more powerful than anything you'll find, and it'll get the things done that you need to get done. WooCommerce, okay. All right, so other things. We want to onboard new members, meaning you can sell memberships, you can take recurring, membership dues or donations, whatever you want to call it. You can get them straight into whatever you're giving them, assuming you're going to give them access, which in this day and age, usually members will get more website access, among other things, than other people. So currently, I just built the Save the Frogs membership platform, and you can pay monthly, you can pay recurring. I specifically wanted it, name your own price with a minimum of $10 a month or $10 a month or $100 a year. So, there's no other software that I know that would do that other than launch flows. I want the minimum. You can't pay less than this. You can choose monthly or annual, and you can name your own price. If you are inspired to put in $40 a month, great, thank you. If you want to put in $240 a year, great, thank you. And when you hit pay now through your credit card, boom, the system knows who you are, you're logged in, you've got access to Save the Frogs Academy, you're listed as a member in our system, and you're going to get charged every month or every year, depending on what you chose. And you can even go in, log in, and cancel your account, or you can handle that. You don't have to write me and say, Carrie, I need to cancel. How do I do that? And then I have to go do the stuff. And meanwhile, you're waiting, wondering if Carrie's ever going to respond to cancel your stuff. Hopefully, don't ever cancel, or come back. Or if you're one of our best owners ever and a multi-time eco-tourist, a big thank you to you. All right, so receive information through forms and surveys. Yeah, you need to know who your people are, and just like you all, oh, sorry, not for this, but I held an event for kids an hour earlier today, and I just built a new page on our site. I put up a link if you go to savethefrogs.com. Now, again, after being gone for a couple of years, there's an events link at the top, and it says online events, and I built that page, and it's just a simple page. It says, please register in this form, and it's got a form embedded so people can send in their info, and I can ask questions. Why do you love frogs? What's your top question about frogs? So this I will do. For this, I just said email me because I didn't have time to build it. I wanted to, I announced this like yesterday, but I will. Grow your mailing list. So that's the most important asset that we have as a nonprofit organization, aside from our, staff and expertise perhaps, is our mailing list. The ability to send out a message to lots of people and get that many, a certain percentage of those people to take action. So our website can collect people's email addresses, ask them to join the newsletter, get them to sign on to campaigns and other methods of getting their email addresses so that we can stay in touch with them. We can answer frequently asked questions. That's essentially how are we going to educate our people. I don't even mean an FAQ page, though you can build that too. But just there's important stuff that people always want to know. Build a page about it. Yeah, I don't know Mad Mimi. I'm assuming that's like MailChimp or something. But there's two main types of emails. There's transactional emails and then there's marketing emails. Transactional emails are the emails that they do come straight out of your website. If someone paid for something or registered for an account or changed their password or needs a new password, those are all things that WordPress is going to send straight out to the person. You could do that natively through WordPress, or you could use, and again, a lot of these things, if you're going to go, especially buy these technologies, let me know first, because I probably have like affiliate codes that may get you a discount, or they may send me a kickback or something like that. Good for us either way. So I'm going to chat that in. Can you send it? I can't see my chat button anymore. Anyway, it's called, where'd I go? Whoa, I'm losing it now. Postmark is $10 a month, because the native WordPress, it works, but there may come a time when it doesn't, and it's known to be a bit unreliable. So for Save the Frogs, I have Postmark. It's postmarkapp.com, POSTMARK app.com, or do a search Postmark transactional emails. And it's pretty easy to set up. I don't know, under an hour it's all set up, and it's just a very reliable method of sending out emails through your site. But you're not allowed to use that for marketing emails. For marketing emails, use ActiveCampaign, which I definitely have a code for you to use that will save you some money. And I'll come to ActiveCampaign in a little bit. So yeah, I don't recommend Mad Mimi. If you want to send mass emails out, use ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign does more than just emails too. It does automations. So an automation, as an example, would be I use launch flows in connection with WooCommerce to have a page. You can type in your name, savethefrogs.com/your name, okay? You can try it, savethefrogs.com/Margot. And you'll end up on the free lead magnet page. Get your 28 days free of Save the Frogs Academy. What I did was, instead of having a 404, you've got a wrong, non-existent URL page, I just said if someone types in a page that doesn't exist, send them to my lead magnet page and get your 28 days free, instead of just showing them 404, you're in the wrong place. So then they're at least happy to get something. Maybe they're not, I don't know, but at least they're where I want them to be. So you put in your name and email, and Launch Flows in WooCommerce puts you through a free checkout, and WP Fusion, which you'll probably eventually want. WP Fusion will talk to ActiveCampaign and send over a tag to ActiveCampaign saying, this person has 28 days free. I've tagged them, 28 days free. And I have an automation in ActiveCampaign that's going to start ticking, and once I build them, every few days it'll email you like, hey, check out this course in Save the Frogs Academy, to make sure they're kind of going there, know what's there. And after 28 days, it's going to send them, please become a member. Your free 28 days is about to expire, and on day 28, it's going to remove that tag. And when that tag gets removed, WP Fusion knows they can no longer access that content. WP Fusion is like a lock and key. Okay. WP Fusion, I can't remember if they have a free version. They may not. They may not have a free level. But certainly once it's not critical that you get it right away, but once you're using ActiveCampaign, and if you want to start locking access to certain things on your page or only displaying certain notices to certain types of logged in users, that's the way to do it. You do not need any membership plugin. So you can write that down in your notes. You'll never need a membership plugin. There's traditionally you'd have to buy a membership plugin that would control access. You no longer need that. WP Fusion is the connection between your website and ActiveCampaign, which is your database of people and your ability to email those people and to tag those people as being an ecotourist or a donor or a member. All right, your website can reinforce and differentiate your brand. Simple ways, just by having your brand colors all over the place in a well thought out manner. If you go to SaveTheFrogs.com, there's pretty much green and orange, and that's all there is. It's either white, black, or green and orange. And it's not any green, it's the correct, it's 72AF43 hexadecimal code, and it's F5821F, and it took me 10 years to learn those colors. I could not learn them, and then eventually I was using them so much I finally know them. So you can reinforce through your colors, through the way that you write stuff, through your general vibe that you give off, and by having your logo all over the place. All right, so another question. How much money do you want your website to bring in for you in year one? Maybe forever, but just picture year one. Now, I'm assuming all this, again, all this stuff pretty much goes if you're just a personal website and you just want to put up your travel photos. Okay, you probably don't need too much of the transactional stuff going on, but usually people, once you start getting traffic and people asking you for, can I buy your prints of your photos? Do you lead travel photo tours? Who knows what? Then, eventually people look to get some money coming in through their website. So how much money do you want your website to bring in for you in year one? And just to kind of re-clarify ways that that's going to happen is such as on Margot's site, I did not notice any donate now link. So that's probably top priority I may have missed it. And if I missed it, then it needs to be boom, big at the top. So I'll take another look, but you should think, is it visible? And I was on a laptop, just to let you know. And that's something else I haven't talked about. Laptop, mobile, iPads, tablets. Like if you're in Elementor, you have full control, pretty thorough control over making sure that all those things are appearing correctly, which is pretty important because you may be designing on your laptop and next thing you know, you end up on your own website on your phone. You're like, whoa, everything's like off the page. So you're able to control that. Okay, back to money. How are you going to bring in money? Donations, memberships, sales of products and services, t-shirts, consulting time, event tickets. That could be a low price event. Join this webinar for $10. Join this mastermind session for $100. Join this eco tour for a few $1,000s. All right, so I am near the end of this, and I think I'm right at the very end. Your website is one part of your technological strategy, probably the most important part and probably the center of it all. It's like the earth, and then you've got a couple things floating around the outside, like your ActiveCampaign CRM, and maybe your podcast, and or if you're full on podcasting, there is a chance that your podcast is your main thing and your website's that other thing. But for me, it's always been website as the center of everything. Yeah, I mean, even if you have a podcast, like people aren't donating through your podcast, or, you got to get all those people on your mailing list. So your website's always going to be important, but there are other things. So I do plan my overall 02 Webmaster plan, 02 Webmaster LLC being my new company that I formed about a week ago, with the goal of teaching this kind of stuff. Not just the website, but the other stuff, like how to use ActiveCampaign. Or actually I wrote out a list of some other important software. And why did I pick these ones? Because these are the ones that are pretty much, aside from the last one I'll tell you, these are the ones that are pretty much open all the time. I'm in these pretty much all the time. So ActiveCampaign, that's how I emailed you all. You all received an email from me that I sent out through ActiveCampaign. You're all unless you heard about this through social media, sorry, because I announced this there too. But if you got this from a newsletter, it went to you through ActiveCampaign, and you're probably tagged in there as, you know, like Margot's tagged in there, Ecotourist Costa Rica 2018 or whatever, donor, member, interested in, you know, various things. So that's how you can tag people and keep track of who they are and what they're interested in, how you can mass email thousands of people, how you can set up automation so that if this happens, then make sure that happens also, such as if they get tagged as submitted an ecotourist expression of interest, then they're going to email saying, thank you, here's how to schedule a call. All right, to go back, donations. I think you always need a donation button at the top of your site. It's normal, it's standard. No one's getting offended. Like, I can't believe you asked me for money so soon. You know, it doesn't have to be huge, but it should always be like in the top of your site and probably in the footer. Save the Frogs, and really, I probably need to put it in the header because currently I'm pretty sure it's in a sidebar. And the sidebar, if you're on mobile, the sidebar falls underneath everything else. But, you know, if someone's looking, they should be able to find it. It's in the menu. It's as a picture in the sidebar, clickable link, clickable icon, and then it's also in the footer on every page. So you want to make sure people can, don't make it hard for a donor to donate. All right, I use Airtable to organize data. You may think, I don't have much data, but you do have data. And if you're not organizing it, it's just disappearing into the ether and it's not there for your usage. So my general rule of Airtable is, or of projects in general, the more thoroughly thought out the Airtable is, the more thoroughly thought out and functional the project is. So as an example, I have what Airtable is. It looks like Excel, and it is a spreadsheet, but it's also a database. So it's got the power of a database with the user kind of, you're used to looking at a spreadsheet, but it's truly a database. It's far more user-friendly, and it's free. It's free. There's a free level. I mean, really, I've been using it. I've never sent them $1, and I've been using it heavily for 4 years. For personal life, for all 3 of my businesses, I'll say 2 businesses and a nonprofit. Anyway, so as an example, we're going to hold a Save the Frogs World Summit on Save the Frogs Day, the 12th annual Save the Frogs Day. It'll be April 24th and 25th. Now, I need to organize what kind of data? Who are the potential speakers? Who are the confirmed speakers? Who has registered for the event? How am I going to get them to register? If you registered for Save the Frogs, well, I can have this, all that data looks like a spreadsheet. I can flip a switch and it'll turn it into a form to ask people, what's your first name? What's your last name? What's your email? I can take that, embed it into a web page as I have right now, if you go to the Save the Frogs events page, and they put it in there on our website, and that goes straight into the Airtable that I'm looking at so that I can see who, like all of you, if you express interest in this event, I put your info into an Airtable. I said, you know, first name, last name, email, any comments that you gave, what date, you know, what event did you request? Did I send you the info for it yet? And other stuff like that. So I have my entire accounting system is through Airtable and automated. If I receive a receipt electronically, almost everything I pay for is electronic. My credit card company is going to send me a notification, and also hopefully the company is going to send me a notification. I'm going to hit forward to a certain address that I created, and the only thing that it does is through my automation software Zapier, which I'm going to mention, is all that it's going to do is enter a row into Airtable, and it's going to know the date, and it's going to know the name of the company, because my subject line of the email, it's going to put that in the name of the company. It's going to download the PDF and attach it. It's going to download the PDF to my Dropbox on my computer. And all I have to do to get that expense entry is hit forward to that receipts address. Now, if revenue comes in, I have that automated. Money comes into the website, and I need to track that. If I don't track that, the government is going to give me trouble, and come bookkeeping, accounting, 990 reports time of year, which it is now, I'm going to be in a mess talking to my bookkeeper, trying to figure out what everything is. So anytime money comes through the site or anywhere else, Airtable, one row, date, amount, who it's from, what it was for, what's the category? Was it a membership? Did it come from a corporation? Or if it was an expense, what type of an expense? Was it salary? Was it travel? Because especially for a nonprofit, the government wants to know everything. So that's how I keep Airtable. I use for any project of importance. I have an Airtable for that just tracks all the relevant information. Quip. Now, any of these things, I'll go ahead and continue to fill out, I'm going to create a list of all these with affiliate codes. If you go to that other session that I sent you a link for, session 1 from last week, I listed out some software programs and put in those codes. So if you use those, I appreciate it. And there's a high chance they save you money too. So Quip is currently a Salesforce company. They got bought by Salesforce, and it's documents. It's like Microsoft Word, or maybe closer to Google Docs, in that it's online and shareable, which is important. It just, to me, it works way better. Like Google Docs is just one of a million things that Google does, whereas Quip is the only thing that Quip does. It's just really easy to use documents, linkable. So it's essentially a website, but I make documents, and I need to keep track. You run a business, you've got systems, you've got documentation on how stuff does and where stuff is and how things happen and who you need to contact. So it's either going to be an Airtable if I need it listed out like a spreadsheet look, or if I just have instructions and things written out, I'll make a document in Quip, and I can link to other, like I have an Airtable to track legal things I need to do. If I didn't keep track of legal dates and stuff due, stuff would be late, and then I'd be in all kinds of annoying paperwork. Okay, so I have a thing. Hey, every May 15th, your 990s due in Airtable. And in that row, I have a link. Hey, where's the information on how to deal with our 990? Here's the link to the Quip page, and here's all the info. And if there's something important, I can just say at other page in Quip. So instead of looking on your computer for where's that Microsoft Word file and doing a search, and your computer brings up photos and PDFs and audio files and a million unrelated things, all that's going to come up in your search is the name, just give an relevant words to the title, and it'll come up easily. Or you just put an at that page and click it. I know if I'm on the page about Save the Frogs Academy courses, then I also need to know where the page for Save the Frogs Academy instructor documentation is. So I just put see also at instructor, boom, and I can get around to the things I need. All right, and this is, hopefully you have it, but a lot of people still use their name at gmail.com. You pay G Suite at $6 a month, or use the code I have. It's $4.80 a month for the first year, and you get, your name at yourcompany.com, your website. So Carrie at SaveTheFrogs.com. You just have to prove to Google you're the owner of that website, which takes half an hour to go put their codes in and do all that stuff. And so that's another super important thing to display credibility. So really, when I started Zero to Webmaster a week and a half ago, I, probably in the order, fill out my LLC paperwork, long before, buy the domain name, fill out the LLC paperwork, go get an address, go get an email address so that I can start doing, emailing the people and doing the things. And then build the website, which I did rapidly. It's not a beautiful website, but I built it in one day or less than a day. So, be able to rapidly build a website just to get out the basic info. And, from there, like yesterday, I set up an Airtable just to track all the Zero to Webmaster Airtable stuff and all these key components. All right, Google Calendar, keep track of everything, and that'll come free with your G Suite account, your email address. And another way to automate, I use Acuity scheduling, so that I just have a link, and someone wants to talk to me, or if someone wants to pay me, like for music, if you want to pay me for a lesson, I don't want to talk to you about setting up a time. Here's the link. You can go schedule a time. I've got all my times listed that I'm available. You can click the link. You can look at your time zone. You can pick from the available options, set it up, boom, I get an email notification. It fills up my Google Calendar. It provides the Zoom link for us to meet at. I don't have to talk to the person. And if I want to charge them money, then I can. And it'll even handle the payment for that. I don't do that too much, but I could. And then the last one I mentioned it before, Zapier. I don't have it open much because once I set it up to work, it's working. And its whole deal is automation, connecting different programs. So if Stripe accepts a credit card, that's how I get it to my Airtable. Because Zapier knows if Stripe takes money, send a data to Airtable and fill out each of these cells with this information. All right, that's it. So maybe it's good that Neural couldn't show up, because then I had plenty of time to go through all this. I didn't expect to give a presentation like this, but I wrote out all these bullet points this morning, and then I thought, hey, let's put it in a slideshow. Came out well, and theoretically this all got recorded. And so this is how you can stay in touch with me. I'm on social media, and Carrie at 02webmaster.com. And here we are, just us again. So let's see. I actually have scheduled to be on here for the next hour as well for a website designed for musicians, which I didn't announce other than to my one musician friend who is interested in getting a membership in learning management system so that he can teach his students. And assuming that he shows up, we were going to examine his very old, outdated website and see what's going on there and take it from there. Maybe he won't show up, but regardless, I'm on right now, so I can take as many questions as you guys have, and we could actually look inside of the website. I was just giving you a kind of perhaps philosophical overview of web development. All right, so the question, what do I think of Coda? I do not know what Coda is other than a album by Led Zeppelin from 1980 that only had 5 tracks, including Bonzo's Montreux. I don't know what else is on there. So, yeah, what I think is like, I learned the hard way on what software works and what doesn't work, and I'm sure there's other ways to do stuff, but like basically my goals for training people are pretty much to save you the pain, because it also takes a long time to research. Like, should I use this or that? I need to go Google like this versus that software 2020 and find out what's going on in the world, what other people think. But I've already been through all that. So the things I'm using, like that I'm recommending because like I probably tried the alternatives, but regardless, I know that these things work. So I don't know what Coda is. If you tell me, I can tell you what I suggest in its place. Okay, thanks for being here, Margot. And yeah, so I'm recording this, and my plan is to put this into the Zero to Webmaster Academy, if we can call it that. There's only 2 lessons on there right now. I just started doing this a week and a half ago. So last week I recorded that hour, and it's up there. So you should also go check those out, and those are in the email that I sent you, but I will get this up there, and maybe get all the bullet points just in an easy to see spot too, but I'll send out a link when this is up. All right, talk soon, Margot. Jennifer, I can answer your question. And all of you, you're welcome to stay on if you want. We use Send in Blue. Do you know if it makes sense to switch to ActiveCampaign? I don't know what Send in Blue is, but I know it's not one of the well-known CRMs. So I think, I mean, do you know how much you, not that monetary thing is the number one thing. Like, I know ActiveCampaign will be more powerful than Send in Blue because ActiveCampaign's a $100 million business. So they've got a lot more developers and money going into everything. Not that that always makes something better, but chances are it's more powerful. But also, I mean, do you know what you pay for Send in Blue? And do you know how many people are on your mailing list? Because usually these places are charging you per mailing list. You want me to unmute you? Unmute? Okay, hi.
Hi, Carrie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so I don't know. It happened before me. I know that they didn't want that MailChimp changed their policies such that they would have to pay and that Send in Blue is less expensive, but I don't know what the decision-making process was. I just switched our website over so that the newsletter contacts are feeding into Send in Blue via
Okay.
the WordPress plugin, which wasn't a big deal, so I could switch it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, let's see. ActiveCampaign is very well known, so any software that kind of sends data to any of the famous mail providers will pretty much always have ActiveCampaign. So, yeah, I don't know what Send in Blue is, and I don't like what else do you do other than use it to send out emails? Is that pretty much it, or are you tagging people and segmenting or doing any kind of automations?
We're not, but we certainly should be.
Yeah, even I mean the simplest automations are like a welcome message, which it'll probably handle stuff like that. But
Yeah,
Active Campaign, I think it starts at probably $10 a month, but it'll rapidly go up based on. I think Mailchimp has maybe 2,000 free contacts, so Active Campaign starts going up in price at like 500 contacts, but probably if you put it to use, I mean it's very important software to have that stuff going. So um, I kind of consider it cost of doing business.
yeah.
But in Active Campaign, it's far cheaper. Like the famous one is probably Infusionsoft, which costs like 10 times as much. They charge a lot just because they've been around forever and they're famous. But Active Campaign is it's probably the best one. And another thing to consider is on WordPress, once you start using WP Fusion to lock off certain parts of your site and to send data between WordPress and your CRM, maybe WP Fusion doesn't work with Send in Blue. But I know if you go to the WP Fusion page, they have a list of like 35 providers they work with ranked in terms of like which are the most integratable. So you should go there. Like, is Send in Blue even on there? If it's not on there, it's probably a pretty not very known service. And usually, if they're not very known, they've got a small support staff and their development's kind of slow.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
If if they're one of the lesser companies, are your emails more likely to go to spam?
I I don't know too much about all that, but I'd say probably because Active Campaign, they're probably lobbying. Like they're probably up at Google, just like pesticide companies on Capitol Hill. Like, hey, make sure our emails have high deliverability. So I know that they focus on all that, but I don't know. I usually just assume like whoever gets my email gets my email, and there's not much I can do about it other than don't use spammy subject lines and you know.
Thanks.
But there are probably like I don't know. You can research it like comparisons of like there were probably deliverability studies, but
Yeah.
I don't think about that too much. Okay, all right. Let's see. Um, Anyone else have a final question? But okay, we do have one. And Aharon, thanks for being here. So you're kind of the next session. So let me finish off this session that's currently going on. All right. With all the services you mentioned, what's your total website cost? Good question. we want to keep ours as inexpensive as possible. Yes, I was talking about that before. Maybe you can list cost breakdowns for each service. Yeah, if you go to the link that was in the email I sent you that has last week's training sessions, the one with Choti, which is the first one, there is a list, I think in the PDF at the bottom, there's a list of the costs. Now, there's certainly some that I forgot, but I'll say, assume it'll be a few $100s a year. And then if you can, I would definitely have $500 extra set aside for buying things that you want to buy. But I think you should be able to get most stuff done for a few $100s a year. Now, I like to buy, oftentimes, assuming it's a good price and it's a product I know I'm going to need, I like to buy the pro versions of things. You get more features and you get the tech support, which is critical sometimes. But at the same time, there's gplvault.com, $85 a year. That is a repository for tons of software, including the pro versions. You just won't get any support for. So, but yeah, I'll say you should not have to pay over $1,000 to have a really powerful website. And depending on your needs, it should, come down to a few $100s. Let's sum it up real fast. Like Astra theme, I have that stuff written out. Less than $100. Elementor Pro, less than $100. LearnDash, learning management system, assuming, it's probably free in GPL Vault, but a couple $100 max. And then if you want to use Postmark to do your transactional emails because you don't trust the WordPress system, the WordPress, it'll work until it doesn't work. So you don't need it, but that's $10 a month. So $100 a year. But even that's not critical. You can just use WordPress native transactional emails. I'm sure I can think of others. I have paid a lot for plugins that I wanted. And if you don't like them, you cancel them. You can always, you get it. Even if you can, some of them let you pay by the month. So just get it, use it. And if you don't like it, cancel it and take it as a learning thing. But yeah, it would be good to have a budget of $1,000. Do yourself a favor and go pro if you think it's going to help you, because sometimes you're just hurting yourself by, you think you're saving $50, but you're unable to bring in $500 by not having that thing. Okay. Any final question? And if anyone wants to be unmuted, I can unmute you. So I'll let you know about the next of these things, and then also as I develop 02 Webmaster offerings for more in-depth assistance, then I'll inform you too. All right, so yeah, anyone who wants to hang around. So let's call that an official end to this session. I am Dr. Kerry Krieger, founder of Save the Frogs and Bon Cerebrus and 02 Webmaster. And thanks for being here. Okay, so on to the next session. Now I just have to think of, should I stop the recording? I think I should stop the recording and then start over.